Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the meeting of the Barrow Borough Council's Executive Committee. I'm Councillor Derek Brooke, I chair the exec. First of all, just remind everyone of domestic arrangements, which I'm sure we all know by now, but I'll just remind you. Keep your phones on silent, use the raise hand in Zoom, and if you're not speaking, please mute so that we can't hear everything you're getting up to, and it doesn't annoy us all. If you lose your connection, we'll stop for 10 minutes and try and get it sorted. I would remind you all that we're out there in cyberspace on YouTube live, so behave, be civil, and we'll get through it all in good time. When we come to a vote, Democratic Services will manage the process, and at that point you'll all be asked to unmute and ask whether you're for or against things. So I think that's all we all need to know, which we all know by now. So can we proceed with business? And I guess, have we got any apologies? Or
Could I take a roll call, Chair?
Yeah. I was going to do apologies first, John, but go on.
Councillor Barlow.
Present.
I have received apologies from Councillor Biggins. Councillor Blizzard.
Present.
Councillor Brooke.
Present.
Councillor Edwards.
Present.
Councillor Hamilton.
Here.
I've not received any apologies from Councillor McClure.
She's going to be just a couple of minutes late.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Maddox.
Present.
Councillor Morgan.
Present.
We have received apologies from Councillor Pemberton. Councillor Roberts.
Yeah.
Councillor Ronson.
Present.
And Councillor Ann Thompson.
Here.
Chief Executive.
Present.
Director of Resources.
Present.
Director of People and Place.
Present.
Assistant Director Housing.
Present.
Head of Legal and Governance. Michael Barry.
Present.
Chris Jones.
Present.
Graham Barker.
Present.
John Penfold.
Present.
Scott Moffat.
Present.
David Joyce. I can see David's joined us, but he's not saying anything at the moment. And Sandra Kemsley.
Present.
Thank you, Chair.
So I bet that was exciting for all of those watching on YouTube. But you know, we all are now, don't you? Urgent items, we haven't got any. Have we? No?
No, Chair.
Agenda item 3, delegation. Does any member wish to move, to move any delegated matter to non-delegated? No? Good. Admission of public and press, to consider whether public and press should be excluded from any parts of the meeting. We do have one agenda item, which is part 2 due to commercial confidentiality. So has everybody agreed that, yeah? Right. Declarations of interest. Anybody got any declarations of interest? No? Right. Agenda item 6, confirmation of minutes. Do you agree the minutes of the extraordinary meeting held on 5th of November and the ordinary meeting held on the 11th of November 2020 be signed as a correct record? Signed. You must have a big pile of documents in there, John, for me to come and sign at some point, have you? That'll be exciting.
I will have.
Cool. I'll bring Effie in. We'll be really excited when we do that. Do we all agree those? Yeah. Public participation. We've had no public, no requests to make a representation to us. So finally, we start on a proper agenda, item 8, with the Barrow in Furness Town Investment Plan Heads of Terms. Steph, it's over to you. Make it exciting and fun.
I can't do that, so I'm going to hand over to Michael Barry.
Okay, Michael, go for it. Welcome back
Exciting.
to Barrow.
Oh, thank you, Derek. Exciting and fun is not me, so I'll do my best. So firstly, you might recall back in July you received a paper seeking agreement to the submission of the Barrow-in-Furness Town Investment Plan. The Town Investment Plan is part of the Barrow-in-Furness Town Deal, and the plan sought to provide a competent vision for the future of Barrow and the role of partners, community and government in supporting the achievement of this. Shaped by that partnership, but also commitment and an ambition to move at pace, the Barrow-in-Furness Town Investment Plan was submitted for consideration by the Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government on July 31st, 2020, placing Barrow amongst the first of the 101 towns in the country to submit. The investment plan itself made the case for investment in 7 key projects, which combined and linking up with wider opportunities have the potential to support the town and the ability of residents and businesses to see real and lasting benefits. While offering a focus on individual schemes, the plan also sought to present a long-term ambition and strategy for the continued progression of inclusive growth across the town. Following the submission of the plan on October 27th, an offer of £25 million was made to enable the delivery of the plan. The Town Deal Board were provided 3 weeks to accept this offer. The offer to Barrow is at the indicative ceiling, and the allocation to the town represented the highest per capita sum of any of the first 7 towns to receive an offer. However, it should be noted that that is below the £29.4 million request within the submission. Notwithstanding that, it was considered a strong offer, and recognising this, at the meeting of the Town Deal Board on November 13th, it was agreed that those heads of terms should be signed. While the plan has been successful so far, there's now a number of key next steps. At the moment, the focus is on ensuring that the projects can be effectively reprofiled to achieve the reduced offer. And to achieve that, there's ongoing dialogue with each of the project leads to look at how that can be best achieved while maintaining the deliverability, the benefits and the intent of the project. So the driver being to maintain the integrity of the deal whilst achieving the efficiency sought. In parallel with this, work is ongoing with partners to establish a clear strategy for the resourcing of the next stages of project development and the work of the accountable body. And this includes dialogue with MHCLG. This work is critical because funding for the delivery of these projects will not be secured until business cases have been completed, assured and agreed with government. Work around this is, as I mentioned, is ongoing, and it's intended this week presented to the January meeting of the Town Deal Board, where agreement for continued progress and progression will be sought. Recognising this update, the Executive Committee are asked to endorse the signing of the heads of terms for the Barrow-in-Furness Town Deal. That's attached to Appendix 1, and to note the progression being made in the development of the deal. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Michael. Have we got any questions?
Councillor Thompson.
Oh,
Yeah, thanks, Michael. That's great as usual. But my main question is, I'll move the recommendation. But have we heard anything about Future High Street yet, or because I thought it was absolutely imminent a couple of weeks ago.
Hello, Councillor. No news in Future High Street funds yet. I think we were hoping for something last month, but all quiet still, and that's the same across the country.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Michael. Let's hope they waffle around like that over the local government reform. Give us more time. Thank you, Chair. But I've moved the recommendation.
well agreed.
Yeah, I'm happy to second that if you're needing a seconder.
Councillor Roberts has got his hand up, Chair.
Yeah, just very quickly, it's another opportunity to thank everyone for the work. I think the great result proves we were correct to go in the first tranche of the bids, because it was a tough decision because we had a lot going on at the time. But I think it's borne fruit. So And I was going to mention, same as Councillor Thompson has, that the Future High Street bid was linked in to a lot of the work of the Townsdale. It was quite a coordinated approach. It's complementary. So I hope we see that the result of that bid soon, so we can get on with delivering a lot of this work. And I hope it's obviously successful as the Townsdale did, because it does enhance the Townsdale aspirations as well. But the main thing is to thank everyone, because I know it was a massive task to do it in a deadline, but I think it's proved to be the right decision. Thank you.
Right. Do we know when the university campus is going to open? No.
I can't.
Right.
Yeah. Next step is to develop the business case and to get firm dates. What will have to happen is all spend will need to be done by March 2026. So a real need for pace now is critical from this point onwards.
Right. Super. Well, it's nice to have some good news, isn't it? We all agreed. Don't need a roll call and vote, do we, if everybody's agreed? John? No?
Unless there's consensus, that's fine.
Yeah. Are we okay?
Agreed.
Splendid. Right. Item 9. Graham Barker, our Public Protection Manager, will present a report on the Statement of Licensing Policy.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try and make this as exciting as well. The Licensing Act requires that we publish our Statement of Licensing Policy once every 5 years, and we use that policy to when we're determining applications under the Licensing Act 2003. The current policy was last approved on the 4th of January in 2016, and a revised statement must be adopted no later than the 4th of January in 2021. The updated and revised Statement of Licensing Policy is attached as an appendix, and this was subject to a short consultation period. This was in the main due to COVID-19 restrictions and the capacity to conduct a full review and hold a worthwhile consultation. Therefore, we've consulted on retaining the existing policy with amendments due to legislative changes, which are identified in the policy, and in the appendix they are highlighted in red. A short consultation, as I said, exercises involved consultation with elected members and other responsible authorities such as the police and existing licence holders. And this concluded on the 11th of December. Section 7.2 of the Licensing Act 2003 prohibits the Licensing Committee from setting its own policy. Therefore, this draft policy is reported here to Executive for consideration and prior approval for adoption with full council. There have been no responses to the consultation exercise. The recommendation to Exec, as I said, is that Executive recommend to full council to approve the Borough Council Statement of Licensing Policy for 2021 to 2026. Thank you, Chair.
Super. Thanks, Graham. Have we got any questions or comments? No. Splendid. Can we right? We have the recommendation is that this has to go to full council, which is tonight from 5:30 till 5:35, hopefully. We all agreed?
Agreed.
Splendid.
Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Pat. Right. Agenda item 10. Cumbria Coastal Strategy. Chris Jones, please.
Thank you, Chair. I know a number of members had the opportunity to attend an informal meeting of the County Council's Area Committee yesterday morning, so they'll have already seen a presentation on the strategy and had the opportunity to ask some questions about it. But for the benefit of those members who weren't able to attend that, I'll just run through the report fairly briefly. The Cumbria Coastal Strategy is developed by the County Council in its role as local lead flood authority, and it engaged consultants Jacobs to do this work, and that work has been ongoing for something over 3 years now. The purpose of the strategy is to assess the risk from coastal flooding and coastal erosion and determine the best way of dealing with those risks. And it sits underneath the Shoreline Management Plan, which is developed by the Regional Flood and Coastal Committee. And so the Cumbria Coastal Strategy follows the same policy areas and policy units that are set out in the Shoreline Management Plan. And it also adopts the same policy intervention framework as the Shoreline Management Plan. The other thing to say about the strategy from a particularly Barrow perspective is that there was already existing a strategy for Walney. So the Walney strategy has been, although it's technically a separate document, it's been rolled, or the priorities of that strategy have been rolled up into the draft Cumbria Coastal Strategy. The other main purpose of the strategy is to use the evidence base as a means of applying for funding to take measures along the coast. And that funding normally comes from the Environment Agency. The draft strategy has been approved in principle by the Environment Agency, and it's now coming to the 5 coastal district councils of Cumbria for their endorsement before it's ratified by the County Council's Cabinet, hopefully in March. The other things to say from a particular local point of view in terms of current action and future actions that may arise from this in Barrow, there are, as members I'm sure will be aware, there's been some issues on the tip in South Walney. That's not strictly speaking a matter that's dealt with within this strategy, but I know it's a matter of interest to many members. There's been work ongoing on that by the County Council for some time, and there are proposals to bring forward a design and build contract to address those problems. It was said before the end of the year. I think, given that now we're halfway through December, that's fairly unlikely. But it's imminent anyway. I mean, that will go to the County Council as they're responsible for that former tip. The other measures that are likely to come forward within the next funding period for the Environment Agency, 2 of them are referred to in the report, and they're Roe Island and West Shore on Walney. There's another one that isn't mentioned that only came to light after the report had been submitted, and that's Askham Pier, where there's a proposal to look at the particular risks there and any measures that might be needed to protect infrastructure such as the sewage works in that location. So if there's anything else you want to ask, then feel free, but that's the normal.
Thanks, Chris. Has anybody got any questions or comments? Kevin?
Thanks, Chair. We had that presentation yesterday, and it was a little bit scary to see what's going on because it affects the complete borough and whatever. So with your agreement and the people who sat around the tables, sat around the tables and looking at the computers or whatever, what we proposed yesterday is to have a workshop, and then from that workshop with local knowledge is to have a small committee or working group, because local knowledge is very, very good in these circumstances. The people that were talking, most of them are based in Carlisle and other places. There was only Mark Ellis yesterday, who lives on Walney himself, he was talking. And I think it'd be good for us to sit down and see what's going on and form a partnership working group. And if we need funding, and of course we need funding for a rock arm or anything, it's far easier to go for it if we're working in partnership with the County Council, Borough Council and the other agencies. I was looking what Chris mentioned there on about the different government agencies. I come across a document yesterday that if Cavendish Dock is breached, the flooding would go as far as Park Drive. and that's actually on the government website. So it affects everybody in there. So with your permission, Chair, I'd like to put forward that we form a workshop and to see what we can do as councillors working with our officers.
Yeah. Hazel?
I think Kevin's idea is a great idea about a working party. But can we not forget the Rampside area and the Coast Road? Because I was along there yesterday and it really is becoming a serious issue. I know part of it's in South Lakeland, but a great part of it's in Barrow as well. And when you're talking about the working party, could I ask that one of the local councillors for that area is included? Thank you.
Yeah, I was at the workshop that Kevin was on about yesterday, and that was raised. Obviously, the coast does go right round the outside, and it's not just Walney. So yeah, we were aware of that. That was raised, and the idea of us having a joint plan. You never know if the county. It's fine for the county to lead on this bigger strategy, but if we can work together a bit more on, there might be funding opportunities that we find out about that the county wouldn't, So we thought we all kind of agreed informally yesterday that we would need set something up in the new year, and like Roos Court, obviously that would be part of it. It's not just it isn't just Walney. There's as was mentioned, Askham Pier as well, which I'd not really thought about, to be honest, even though me and Effie did go down there just before lockdown. So yeah, Kevin, you've still got your hand up. Did you want to?
I've got to mention it, Chair. If we have a work group and whatever, so every member can have a look to see what's going on, and from that workshop, then we can see what we want to do. I think the workshop's got to come first to show how the position that we're in the borough. So from there, we can go from whatever we decide to do. We'll have to go back to the executive, of course. But I think that's the first thing, Chair, is having a workshop. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else want to say anything? No? Right. So, where are we? Do we agree the recommendation that we accept the county strategy, and then that we have a workshop early in the new year to look at a coordinated way forward for the borough bit of that plan? Yeah.
Agreed.
That looks like an agreed to me. Splendid. Where are we on to now? In agenda item 11. Agile working, IT requirements. Sue, that's you, is it? I think, yeah. It's all yours.
I think it's me, Derek.
Oops, sorry, John. Yeah, it says Sue on my script.
Okay.
Go on.
Right, we need to upgrade certain parts of our IT system. The telephony system needs upgrading because we've been told that the current ISDN system will be replaced. It will be no longer available in about 5 years' time, so we'll need to move to SIP. In addition, the licenses that we currently hold with Microsoft Office are pretty basic, and they're not going to be in existence for much longer. So we need to move to a different system and different licenses. So this gives us the opportunity to cloud host some of our infrastructure and improve our IT platform so it's a modern IT platform. Down the line, we can then move to a Teams platform which will change the way we work. So people will be able to work from home. It'll support agile working. And then underpinning all this is the need to maintain the council's high level of IT security. So what we're proposing is a lot of these changes are necessary anyway, but they give us the opportunity to give us a much improved IT system. So we're planning on setting up a project board, and we're inviting you, Derek, to participate in that. To monitor the
I'm
project.
so excited about that, John. I saw that and I thought that is really nice. Thank you very much.
I thought it'd be something for you to look forward to in the new year.
Exactly, yes.
Oh, the dogs have started barking now. So what we want to do is agree project funding. It comes from the Capital Project Board and Transformation Reserves. We're going to have some project management. Hopefully this will be internal project management. The project board is going to be set up, and we want to delegate procurement to the Director of Resources. So the initial things we're going to be doing is move some services to the cloud that are currently hosted on site, update the telephony system and host that as well, implement Microsoft Teams for staff and internal meetings, and then move to Office 365. Any questions? That's a wrap then.
Kevin, is that a hand from before?
No.
Not forgetting, I'm a complete Luddite, so whatever John's been talking about is way over my threshold. Does that agile work, and does that include doing away with the tablets, the likes of street care, and giving them telephones? Is that part of it, John?
Yeah, what we'll be doing is each service will assess itself and determine what they actually need to do their jobs, and we will provide the equipment that they need to do that.
Absolutely, first class. So does that also, I'm thinking about loan workers and whatever, people going out visiting, whatever. These new telephones and whatever, would it be possible to have a panic button put on them, or application or whatever?
I can't answer that at the moment. I'd need to look into that.
Yeah, because we need to look after our staff, don't we? That's all I'm saying anyway. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, has anybody got any more questions?
Yeah, I've got my hand up.
Oh, hang on. Oh, Anne?
Yeah, I think we're coming across a few little hitches, because I know you're talking about more the staff than the councillors, but we really need to get away again from bloody paper, distributing paper minutes. So we really need every councillor to have a laptop and an iPad, so that they can, you know, go on Zoom or Teams on their iPad, which is far more efficient, and they can read the minutes on the iPad. You know, so I think you need to seriously look at that, because, you know, it was like yesterday at planning, or Tuesday at planning. You know, we had an urgent item that half the people hadn't seen or heard or read or anything. You know, and paper copies to some did go out, but of course the post is erratic at the moment, so nobody got them. And so it was it started to get a bit complicated, but nobody couldn't access Modern Governor, because of course they were on Zoom on their iPads, so they couldn't do both, if you see what I mean. You know, it could get a little tricky if we're going to continue working, which we will be for the foreseeable future like this. So I think we need to consider that investment. Thank you.
Yeah, I totally agree, Anne, because we have got 36 councillors and they are a big part of our council, and we need to make sure that they are equipped to do their job properly as well. And that's one of the reasons why we want Derek on the board, because he can bring the councillors' view to the project board.
Excuse me, John, just to come back, you do understand that all Derek thinks about is fun, you know, and not...
What's wrong with that? I haven't mentioned... No, I'm not going to mention it. There you go, I didn't.
Derek and fun in
Anyway.
the same sentence, that's the first.
Yes. Thank you for remembering that we're a really important part of the council, John. That was very diplomatically put. Yes. One of the things, some of us were having a little informal chat about this before, and with all this agile working, would this group be looking at other support for members of staff, other things that are not just IT? Because I know traditionally we've been a town hall where you've had to go into work in the town hall, and I don't actually know if there's any kind of, I don't know what kind of policies and stuff we've got in place to support members of staff that are actually working from home. Other than that, I don't actually know.
Yeah, well, this project board is mainly for this IT project. If members have other needs, I think we need to be setting up something to look at that through democratic services.
Well, I'm not just on about the members, I'm on about actual staff. Because I think as far as the members go, we could take it through the member training group, things that come back about IT, we could probably do it through there because that exists and I'm on it. So I could do that through there. I'm on about staff, supporting staff in this new way of working, because obviously we've been thrown into it. But when we carry on, it's not going to return, I guess, to as it was before. And it's just a matter of what system is in place, or, you know, I don't know. Sue's going to tell me now. Sue's going to tell me. I'll shut up.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, there are a lot of support systems, as we'll call them, in place for staff within different teams. We've got like a corporate approach from HR, but each manager's doing that, keep in touch, making sure people are working where they're comfortable working. But that whole bundle of temporary arrangements needs to come to members as a package to move forward. So we want to keep a lot of what we've been doing, but get that more formalised. I'm hoping to have that ready for the January exec. If not, it'll be February. It's quite a lot to wrap up into one policy. But they are things that are operating now and they will continue. It's just kind of getting them into a more permanent policy takes a little bit more work. But yeah, we've got health and wellbeing started up again as a group, and they've been doing lots of fun things for the staff, not for members. But there's been things happening a couple of times a week, every week for the last month or so. It's been really good as a participant. So we are looking after staff and making sure they've got what they need, but we do need to formalise that with you. Yeah.
Splendid. Right. Have we got any more questions? I can't see any hands up or anything. No. Do we all agree with the recommendations? I don't have to read them out, do I, John? The recommendations?
No, it's okay, Chair, if the committee's agreement.
We all agree, yeah?
Agreed.
Splendid. Agenda item 12, local council tax reduction scheme. Sue, that's one of yours.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah. So this is the local council tax reduction scheme, or as I tend to call it, council tax support, that we have to agree a scheme. We, as a council, there has to be a scheme agreed by the 31st of January before the financial year starts. So it's support for households on low income and people who claim certain benefits to help them pay their council tax. So this current scheme we have, which has been adopted each year since 2013-14, provides up to 100% support for those that qualify when they apply for that. There was and has been every year a choice of whether that is 100% award or less than, which I'll come on to in a moment in the alternatives. The recommendation as presented is looking for a continuation of the current scheme, which mirrors the old-fashioned council tax benefit scheme and keeps it pretty much aligned to the way housing benefit awards work, to make it on the same basis. So it's kind of one, like, it mirrors it, so it's less difficult to understand. It's easier to understand because it's exactly the same as the way housing benefit would be calculated in effect. And because there's a funding shortfall, there's a cost to the Borough Council, to the County Council as a major preceptor, and the Police and Crime Commissioner. Within our financial plans, the assumption is there that we will continue with the 100% award and not kind of look to recover any funding shortfall from the people we're awarding the support to. So it is covered, but we have seen an increase in the numbers down to COVID. I don't think it's anything other than that. And there may be a bigger increase in numbers coming when furlough comes to an end. It's difficult to predict what that might be. So the figures that are in the report are based on current numbers, but so they may go up, they may go down. Don't know, difficult to predict. So we're kind of looking at those figures for next year based on the intelligence we've got right now. So it's showing a cost to the council of 259,000. Now, in terms of alternatives, what we are able to consider, which I am not at the moment recommending, is to create a different scheme and vary the awards by any characteristic that we choose to. So you could choose to protect certain households, and that would mean you would recover money from others and not from the household you were trying to protect. As this is a support for low income, to me it seems that's everybody we want to protect. That's why the recommendation is just to continue with the current scheme. If an alternative was to be explored, that would be at least a year away from being realised as a financial benefit, at least, because there would have to be a consultation with the preceptors, with the public. The scheme design itself would be quite complicated, and you'd have to transition protection for people if they were going from 100% to maybe an 80% award. And then you'd have to consider that you were going to be collecting small amounts of money that weren't in collection before. So collection costs increase. So you're not actually seeing a full benefit as you might think in the modelling side of it. So it doesn't fit, to my mind, with the council's plan and priorities to change the current scheme, and it suits or fits, to my mind, better to maintain 100% award. There is a table just sort of showing some implications or some the costs likely to be payable if the full amount the council is putting in is recovered, and it might not look like a lot, but it is a lot on someone's household income if they've not been paying that and suddenly they have to pay. But of course, if the protection took certain groups out of the scheme that was designed, it would mean that some would get even less than that and have to pay even more than the shortfall that's shown in that table. But I say that the alternative is presented to be transparent, but the recommendation is to continue with the current scheme. We have to agree that by 31st January, so it would go to the council 26th, is it? Yeah, 26th January. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Sib. We've got any questions or comments? Lee? Lee? You're on mute. There's always one.
Probably the first time I've done that.
I was just waiting. I thought we were going to get through a meeting without anybody being on mute, and you just saved us. Thanks. Go on.
Is there a mute jar I have to put a pound in or something?
No, you're all right. No, you're all right. I think we would have all had to chip in if nobody had done it.
I just want to say that obviously this sort of support is much needed at the moment, but I think we needed this. The residents have been in financial trouble before the pandemic, and it'll be the same afterwards, especially with job losses and possibly even more from furlough ending. Businesses impacted, used up their savings, and possibly a medium-term sort of power wave of economic issues and Brexit, of course. So I think it's important we have something that functions well in place and it's not too arduous, and we can get support quickly and easily to people. I do hope the government respond to any increased impact on our funding by doing this, and recognise if there's an increased need for support to help people recover from any economic shock. They will respond to that quickly and appropriately. And just finally, I want to mention that a lot of my fellow councillors were involved in a financial hardship summit this morning, which was basically a lot of the groups that have been doing the support over the pandemic. So while this is one way, the council tax support, one way of supporting our residents, it did show quite starkly how many other groups and the partnership working and the importance of the third sector in supporting our residents. So this is just one part of the whole package of support that we want to see in our communities. And I think we need to recognise the great job that our partners and the sector are doing. And this is just one piece of it, but it's very important. So I'm glad we can continue to do our bit in supporting our residents in difficult times.
Thanks, Lee. Anybody else?
No, Chair, could I have a move and seconder for this, please?
Yeah, and somebody want to move it?
I'll move it.
Second it.
Chair, that's been moved and seconded, so if
We have
that's
to have a vote. How can we just have a consensus? Nobody's.
we can have a consensus, Chairman.
Can we?
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Safe going through all the rota, yeah?
Yeah.
Splendid. Yay. We're done. Oh, right now then. Right. Well, for those of you on YouTube, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to leave us because we've got a secret part of the meeting. Or part 2, as it is technically known. Hang on, I better read my proper stuff here. So this brings us to the end of the public section of the meeting. And can I have a mover and a seconder to go into part 2?
I'll move it.
Seconded.
This is just because of commercial confidentiality. So we're not doing anything dodgy. And it'll all be in the minutes anyway. So you better see what we've decided, I think. Is that right? Somebody tell me I'm right, yeah?
There'll be a summary in the minutes, Chair.
Yes, there'll be a summary in the minutes. So the public session will be now concluded and we will stop streaming live. So thank you very much for watching us.